The Critical Hit podcast contains foul language, sexual subjects, and other things that are inappropriate for children. Content warnings can be found in the episode description. Hello, world, and welcome to another episode of Critical Hit, Foul Mouth Podcast, where we talk about everything. I'm your host, Red King, and with me always is Cribson and Chrono Warning.
On the day! On the day!
On the dais.
This has been just highs and lows today. It's been insane.
Tonight, Nintendo did their Direct for the Switch 2. We're gonna talk about it.
We're gonna break it down, bro. It's gonna be we're going deep, as it were.
As Donkey Kong did.
Yo, listen.
Stop. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
We are Critical Hit, and Nintendo Switch 2 starts now! All right. There's nothing else to it but to do it, guys. That was a loaded show.
Yeah,
it was.
dude.
The Direct was very interesting.
That was a loaded show.
There was a lot of things I didn't expect to happen, and a lot of things that I didn't expect to be as good as they were. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Like,
it was.
And we knew a couple of them were going to happen because obviously we've talked about it before.
Yeah,
but
it's been a lot of stuff that we knew was on its way.
the full showing of the hardware, you know what I mean? More
to a degree. To a degree.
You're right. There's a little bit of holding back, but I will say that this has been a flex that I haven't seen from Nintendo in a while.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they have not flexed on hardware in a long fucking time.
They were like, hey, you can do 4K on the TV.
Yeah. It's like,
That's fine though,
Yeah, no, I don't.
because I
disagree.
don't think the Steam Deck or the
no.
anything like that is running at
Right,
4K.
but here's going to be my thing, right? Microsoft, we obviously have at least discussed that there is rumors and everything going on with a handheld. Xbox, right?
So here's the thing. Funny thing is that's actually confirmed now. So this was kind of a power play. We're gonna get into the meat and potatoes of this in a minute. But I saw this like 2 days ago, which was actually kind of wild. That Asus did a teaser of the new ROG Ally, and then Microsoft posted under it that meme of like that weird like monkey thing, like looking to the side. So the next Asus ROG Ally is gonna be Microsoft branded. I'm telling you, like that is official.
But that's what I'm wondering, because Microsoft tends to put really heavy hardware in their stuff, right? Would that be a 4K handheld?
it won't.
So
It better not.
So here's what I'm saying. This is the interesting thing, is that the higher resolution handhelds on average tend to have harder, like, you know, times running things well. You know what I mean? That is the one thing, and I think that's the one reason why it doesn't pay off to have 4K. And to really, even because I think the Lenovo Legion Go had like it was like 1200 or whatever P, whatever the fuck it is. It's like 200 higher than 1080 or whatever. And it was having a lot of trouble producing the same level of visuals as the Ally, even though it has the same hardware. So that is the one thing, is I think that 1080p is pretty much going to be your top end for right now as far as gaming screens go, which is, I think is fine.
Yeah,
because I'm still seeing 1080p these days. I mean, we'll just say I'm 32 years old, so maybe my eyes aren't as good as they used to be, but I don't really see the difference a lot anyways. So I'm like, I think 1080p is fine.
That was the
Listen, man.
most aged thing.
Back in my day, we had 480, and we liked it. We had scan lines and shit.
VHS tracking, my eyeballs.
I used to think that was like, the argument between 720 and 1080. I'm like, man, that's such a fucking old person argument that they like don't see the difference. And I'm like, oh, I don't see the difference.
Oh, see the difference.
Oh my gosh. Sorry. I know I cough literally every episode so far, but like, I'm just getting over being sick. So,
Again.
again.
I thought you weren't going to mention Marvel.
I'm going to mention it because I can guarantee it's coming to the Switch 2. Guarantee it.
Well, yeah,
after what
'cause
we've seen.
They're going to be talking about a lot more stuff.
Yeah, which, the whole NDA is gone now, so all these third parties are going to be.
Well, they may not all be fully gone.
True. That is true. It is Nintendo we're talking about.
Well, even just the companies themselves may not. It's not necessarily best to throw all your cards right out when everyone else is throwing all their cards out.
That is true.
Because like Mario Kart World Tour, which I'm just going to start with, because that's what they led with. That's what the bundle is.
Oh my gosh, which we'll talk about that, but the only way you should get Mario Kart World Tour is with the bundle. Let's just be real. Let's just say that right now.
They're only manufacturing it through fall of this year, though.
You fuckers. They're doing some shicey shit. So let's lead into that though, because the first thing they showed off, Mario Kart World Tour, open world Mario Kart game. Like way more racers than we've ever had.
24.
They did a lot with it.
Yeah.
They did a lot with it.
Rail grinding.
Yeah.
They have boats. They have sleds. They have carts. I'm just surprised they didn't keep the zero gravity thing. But let's be real.
Well, we haven't
Zero
seen
gravity
all
was
of it.
Zero gravity was the worst transformation of Mario Kart.
We haven't seen all of it, though, so it might still be in there.
That is true. And apparently later this month, they're doing a direct specific.
That's what I was going to say. April 17th.
So
we'll probably run that as a show opener.
Yeah.
I think, obviously we're going to be pretty heavy tilting towards the Switch 2 as far as...
Yeah, well, I mean, from now until June 5th, which, just a heads up, boys, June 5th is a Thursday. So, just so we all know. I'm going to get that thing fresh out the box.
Or we just unbox it on the...
Yeah. Unbox it, drop it. Like, no.
Fumble.
Nope, I will bring a table, put it here, and unbox it on the table.
I'll have, like, those, like, gloves that are like no fingerprints in them.
White gloves.
Yeah.
I actually use those at my job.
Well, you bring them.
I can. We have 100 pairs of each size.
So we're sitting here. We're sitting here with reveals of mouse controls.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Really awkward intro to mouse control specific games.
Well, before we talk about that, what did you guys think about like the mouse control option? Because I've heard some interesting complaints. I've been watching videos all day, and people have been kind of naysaying it a little bit.
Okay, so my two big things is like, so I paused the direct right at this part because I wanted to double check it, right?
Yeah.
What's one of the biggest problems with the Joy-Con 1? It's fucking flat.
Yep, completely.
They didn't change that.
Yeah. So the one thing, apparently there is a coating on that thing that makes it kind of glide nice.
Well, so I will say technically the Joy-Con 2 is larger than the Joy-Con 1.
Yeah.
But it's still basically a plank of wood with an erection. Like,
yeah, it's...
You're right.
I think
so it might be a little easier to hold, but I'm still going to be looking for either A, controller, or B, something like the Split Pad Pro.
Yep.
Which is going to be interesting. I do like the magnetic part, though.
I will
say that.
So the one thing I will say,
no rail to break.
That is very true. That is, or to put them on the wrong way, which I've
correct. That's the thing, right? You put the wrong Joy-Con on the wrong side. Fuck you, buddy.
Yeah.
That rail's breaking.
Yeah,
your Joy-Con's breaking.
Something's going down.
So what about because this is the main complaint I've heard, right? Nobody has a table that close to them, right? So think about when we're sitting there playing Mario Party, right? There's usually not a table sitting right.
It'd be like thigh rubbing.
So if
it's gonna be awkward.
the fact
whole room.
I don't like the.
Well,
I don't like the fact that you look directly at me.
This is going to be kind of interesting, right? Just from my perspective. So I primarily use a laptop.
Yeah.
So I have a laptop tray. so I can put my laptop on my side table and just use my laptop tray.
So that does kind of fix it, because I also have a kind of similar setup. I have like a little table that comes from my chair.
Yeah.
It's like hooked up to the bottom of my chair, so I actually could use it. But if you could thigh rub it, if it still senses it fine with thigh rubbing it, I don't see the problem. Because I'm about to do this when I'm playing that game. It's gonna look realistic as fuck. It's gonna be so. You know what game I'm talking about?
One we're about to talk about.
Yeah.
Well, so I forgot the fucking name of this. It's
Drag and Drive.
Drag and Drive. Yep. Or Drag X Drive if you want to be
Drag and Drive.
So
You're chasing.
Oh my.
You're really not. But
Why? Okay. Before we
chasing the
continue,
dragon.
why is it? This is now the second reference that happened in the past 2 fucking episodes.
wait, what was last week's?
It was. I almost don't want to say it. I censored it during the edit. You'll see that, but it was him. So it was all right. I'm gonna say this.
That was a wild way to do it.
That was a kind of a very weird way, because there's always kind of been that, right? So you had Wii Sports, right?
Yeah.
That's a thing. You had Nintendo Land. That was a thing for the Wii U. You had like ARMS, which was kind of the thing for the Switch.
I am going to have something to complain about with a very specific game.
Interesting. Okay.
Not Drag and Drive.
Okay.
Not Drag and Drive.
Homies were like, I mean, because the thing that got me was like, hey, there's mouse controls. Hey, there's mouse controls with both them bitches.
Yeah.
Hey, what? I'm not like, I'll play it.
It
but
actually looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Here's the question now.
Is it offensive?
We-
Because like the thing is, right? I don't mind the representation thing. That's fine. But like, if I'm playing it, is it offensive?
No.
Because like, I feel like, imagine you're competitive, right? And you're just fucking.
Yeah, so here's the thing, right? Someone that actually is in a wheelchair probably has better upper body strength than you.
Probably guaranteed.
So they're going to be
Guaranteed.
Yo, my arm's gonna be tired.
they're going to kick ass at that, right?
I'm gonna be burnt the fuck out.
So have you ever actually watched wheelchair basketball? It's a real sport.
Yeah,
It's interesting, right?
Yeah. Which I will say this though, cool. That is kind of cool because, and on a serious though, Nintendo's always kind of done like the kind of like representation thing and like inclusion thing. So that's
So
cool.
a couple other things I did notice. I don't know if you guys noticed it in the reveal. They actually had 2 basketball games going on at the same time. And there was like an outer court area where there were more people in the background. So I'm wondering if you can just be like in a lobby type area and then do like drop in, drop out 3v3 basketball.
that'd be sick.
Would actually be really cool.
That's
That would
what
actually
it
be
looks
really
like because there were 2 courts with 2 games going on. There was a couple guys on like a half pipe outside the 2 basketball courts.
I didn't pay that enough attention to that. I think I was so flabbergasted by like, because you texted me at the time. And I'm not going to say what you said. But I was dying, I'm going to be honest. Like, I hate how unintentionally unhinged you'll be sometimes.
We the next thing was they moved right from that to the obvious thing. We were expecting all of this. The upgrade versions of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
a certain member of the IGN team didn't think that it was going to happen, but it's obvious, and only an idiot would think otherwise.
He's having an ID 10T crisis.
Yes.
You
You know, like, because, you know, it's just dumb people who never. Dumb people are going to think that Metroid Prime is going to get showed one week and then not talked about in the new console. Only idiots would think that.
Yeah.
So, on that note, I was doing some digging. The upgrade packs are going to cost between $10 and $20.
Acceptable.
Not horrible.
So the thing is, right, because we'll just say elephant in the room, Sony did it too, and Sony caught a lot of shit for it. And there's no two ways about it. I think it is kind of messed up to have to pay again for an upgrade to a game that you already own.
So there are a couple of things to talk about with this that I also did see. The $10 ones are going to be for things that don't add new content, right? So Kirby and the Forgotten Land, they're adding like a whole new, it's an expansion pack, right?
Yeah.
Those are the $20 ones, which, I mean, depending on how long the expansion is, because Kirby games aren't necessarily that long, right?
True.
We'd have to see. But I mean, $20 if you get a good 3 to 5 hours, is that really bad?
Yeah, and I would agree with that because I think that $10, if we didn't know what we will eventually talk about, $10 is not that steep for an upgrade. I'm just going to be real. But I think the value comes from the fact that they are putting other things in with it. Even though
Like Legend of Zelda gets GPS with
Yeah.
Oh my
turn-by-turn directions.
But you also get, which was cool, that QR code thing that you could scan and
For
get
the
people's
builds,
build.
that's cool.
That's actually really cool. So when you see that, did you ever see that GIF of like the wiener swinging robot? Like you could get the wiener swinging
That
robot.
would be the thing you bring up.
But yeah, I will say this though, because they confirmed that Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild upgrades are free with the
Yes, as
Nintendo
long as you
Online.
have the online pass.
Which is cool.
Which they're not the only ones. There are a couple.
That's
others.
kind of slick.
Yeah. And I'm telling you right now, I'm replaying Breath of the Wild and I'm playing Tears of the Kingdom for the first time because seeing those run like that was crazy.
It was like, if you're one of those people who sit there and get heavy in emulation,
It was
it was
literally-
feeling, it was giving me that exact same vibe.
And I think if there was any reason for somebody to be not so blown away by some of the stuff that was shown, it would have to be that. You would have to have come from like an emulation like background.
Right.
You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
Where you've seen the upscaling, all that, and you've maybe even seen Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom upscaled. So you're kind of like, this really ain't that new. But like for me, who, hasn't really been doing it much except for lately, you know what I mean?
Right. It was kind of crazy to see the upgrade.
No, it was cool. It was cool.
Mouse controls with Metroid Prime.
That is
Mouse and a shooter, though, that's like hand in hand.
Yeah,
that's
we're-
going to kind of be the definitive experience, right? Like,
dude,
that's
for
gonna be the
real.
make or break, right? If it's
Mhm.
smooth on that,
Dude, I'm telling you right now, when they release Marvel Rivals on it, only way I'm playing.
So, did you also? They did mention this. The Switch 2 Joy-Con, the Joy-Con 2 has gyro
Yes, it does. And they use it in conjunction, bro.
with the mouse.
So I'm like, that is wild. Like that.
So being able to maybe like do slight wrist twists
yeah,
to
very
dial in.
adjustments.
It seems interesting.
I think that, and obviously we'll talk about this too, a little bit of hardware stuff, obviously, because it's got the 1080p screen. That's confirmed. Confirmed HDR support, which is insane.
120 FPS.
Yeah,
in hand.
That blew me away, bro.
I was
Like,
quite pleased.
I'm just saying, like, there are on my ROG Ally, there's a lot of games that struggle to hit that. And if we're getting first party Nintendo quality games running at 120 FPS,
Yeah.
in handheld mode, I'm good.
Quite
I'm
impressive.
good.
So while we're there, we've been talking about hardware and stuff a little bit. We've got a 7.9-inch screen versus the 6.2-inch of the Switch 1. We just talked about
about an inch. Yeah.
But
inch and a half.
It goes a long way.
Well, it's basically so instead of having a 6-inch tablet, we have an 8-inch tablet this time, effectively.
Yeah, which, come on now. I mean,
Very workable.
I think because obviously you've seen we've all seen the Steam Deck screen.
Yeah.
That's it's nice to have that extra screen.
So
real estate.
Yes.
I will say, we were talking about this last week. I liked the bigger screen of the Steam Deck. The handle still felt weird to me because of the mouse thing, right?
Yep,
Because
yep.
they're extra wide. So it's like long curves around underneath, and it's like, this is a fucking gargoyle.
For
Not-
sure.
It's not terrible by any means, but
yeah,
13.9 millimeter thickness, same thing as the Switch 1.
which is actually kind of impressive. I'll be
yeah,
honest.
they
I-
did good.
I agree, but like I said, I still think it's going to be a nightmare to hold.
Well, so the funny thing is you notice now, or at least I've noticed watching the extra video content after, everyone's now like, the new sponsor, this case, and they all already have like grips on the cases.
Right.
So like they're kind of, I don't think that should be on accessory developers to fix. I think that should have been something planned with the Switch 2 itself.
Well, Nintendo will have first party stuff anyway.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
But I will say, we talked about it a little bit, the magnetic Joy-Con, the fact that the rail is gone.
Oh my gosh.
Because I've personally never gotten it all the way on. Like, I've put it partially on and I was like, that's not right.
Yeah.
And then it'll still come off easily enough as long as you don't go full in.
Yeah.
Dude, I was the same way. I was lucky enough to catch myself before I did it wrong, and I was like, whew.
I did a wrist strap wrong, and that was day one. And
Of course you would. no wrist straps.
So the next couple of things, the bigger SL and SR buttons on the thing, they're also steel because that's how it magnetizes, which is interesting.
Yep.
a little bit premium feel.
Yeah,
The
I'm okay with
stick
that.
is bigger.
Yep. Which necessary, especially for because they do seem like they're kind of trying to jump into a more competitive space as far as like, you know, third-party support and all that type of stuff. So they kind of need to have some more.
The next
premium
thing that I
bits.
did think was interesting was the volume tuning. The fact that you can adjust your treble and your bass as well as your volume.
That's what I mean. Of like, it was kind of interesting.
Weirdly granular.
Yeah. Software and hardware. Like right now, I have never seen Nintendo like full sale as much as they
The
are.
last one I feel like they really talked about the hardware on was the GameCube.
Yeah, which
We'll get there.
I have to address an elephant in the room.
okay. What do we got? Oh, it's
It's a matter of legacy, I think. Switch 2 is coming back with the C button. They reintroduced the C button.
oh gosh.
This is a legacy issue to me, and
You don't like implementation?
it kind of hurt my feelings.
I kind of have to agree. So here's the thing.
They sat there and they shit on the legacy of the C controls and fucking made it chat. C is not chat, you see.
Yeah.
So
Won't
what
have to bleep that one.
What did you guys think of the stand, though?
I at first hated the design of the Switch 2 stand. I actually like the fact that you can like, but can you do this and drop all the way back? I kind of like that as long as it is sturdier than it looks.
Well, I will say that was a huge problem with the Switch 1, right?
Yo, the intrusive thoughts almost had me pull this lever.
The Switch 1's kickstand, there's plenty of stories of people just snapping that thing off.
For sure. It might be actually better because I thought it was going to be worse, to be honest.
I like that it's all the way around.
Yeah.
That was the Switch OLED had a full body like flip out. It almost reminded me of like a Surface, Microsoft
Surface.
Surface. Yeah.
Which
What a great fucking device the Surface is. Not sponsored, but
if only, are we mad about no OLED?
Nope.
With everything else that came with that screen, are we mad about?
Honestly, I still have my original Switch, which has an LCD screen.
And it's a significantly worse LCD screen.
Well, it does 720, it's like 30 FPS. That's fine.
Yeah, like,
But what did the OLED offer me? Like, had my Switch broken or anything,
cool.
sure.
Yeah, cool.
I could see upgrading. But like, what does the OLED offer me where my original Switch works just fine?
Mm-hmm. And I'm willing to argue that the trade-off of having HDR and a higher refresh rate
And frames per second.
like it is way more important to have that than it is. OLED is cool. Deep blacks are nice. You know what I mean? That's really nice. But that's really the only primary difference. I know that obviously there's going to be some tech nerd that's going to be like, but wait a second. But you know what I mean? Yeah, it's really the big difference is like a nice, deep, rich black. And then it's just like, okay, cool, but we got HDR.
So, other design feature I thought was very, very good. Top and bottom USB-C ports.
My gosh. Let's hear it for that. However,
I was quite the implementation of that's going to be interesting.
but what about the fact that the main thing they showed off was that camera? So how
These
do you?
motherfuckers got Connect.
So now the thing is, I will say this: I don't like that they smashed the C button. I will agree with that.
But what about that chat feature?
That I will be honest, that is cool.
Yeah.
I liked that.
I don't got it. That doesn't move me a millimeter.
Really?
I tell you what, it will when you
Are forced to play Marvel Rivals with him.
exactly.
And then I could see your sweaty fucking face.
You should. Oh my gosh, bro! You should have. Which, speaking of which, you ditched me.
I got stories on that one.
Okay. We'll come back to that.
Yep.
But you should have seen me last night. I was buckets, bro. I was like,
So you have umbrage with the seaports?
I think the thing is, I don't hate the fact that there's two of them. I just would have liked maybe they showed off 2 use cases of it, right?
Mhm.
And I think that more accessories would have been kind of a cool thing. So there was obviously rumor mill was crazy for the Switch 2,
Mhm.
and one of them, and I know it was kind of a fever dream, but one of them was second screen attachment. One of them was
That would be
3DS virtual console.
psychotic.
Like, I would have loved that. Now, obviously, it's got a whole life ahead of it, so I'm sure we're going to see a lot of things done with it. But
Did we get to see the? So like, I watched a lot of this while I was working.
Mm.
I got to watch it straight up, bro. I was like,
So, like,
special.
being able to see the entirety of the console unit itself wasn't really able to.
Right.
Did it look like it had a couple of like hook points at the top?
No, not at
Something
all.
that would sure up a whole ass another screen.
So no, unfortunately, no. There's nothing on it. Which there would have to be further development for something like that to happen. Which is why, like, it sucks. My heart's broken, but like, I understand why they didn't lead with like, especially we'll get there, but especially with recent price news talking about, hey, here's a $200 screen to put on top. I'm sure they wouldn't want to do
Right.
that.
Just play 3DS games.
You can't. They closed the store.
Well, if they could reopen it technically,
They would.
if,
I mean, that would be the next step. Is the
when and if
curated?
you know what they're probably gonna do is they're probably gonna do like a stupid side by side thing. I bet you they're gonna do that.
I think it would be interesting if they have a way to broadcast from the console to the dock, so you could just do second screen up there, handheld is the bottom screen. I think that would be the thing that they would
Crazy
do.
amount of speculation. That'd be-
That opens up Wii
that'd be-
U.
But
Woo!
that's so much
Woo!
easier to do than having a
You
second
might-
screen peripheral.
You might be on something there. I'm not gonna
Because
lie.
the dock is still going to have an HDMI running in, right? So if the dock has any kind of Bluetooth on it, or you get a Bluetooth sensor or what have you,
Yep.
you can just cast from that, and then your TV is your big screen, and then your handheld is the bottom screen, which we already know is going to be touchscreen anyway.
You might be onto something. Also, fan in the dock. So that's another thing.
Yes.
So
that
there's
was very,
actual
very nice.
hardware in this fucking thing.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
256 gigs of native storage. What did we think about that?
That's gonna fill up quick,
Uh,
especially with an expanded third party.
And 4K possibles
oh
on
gosh,
games.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's gonna be.
let's talk Xbox and PS5 on that. You ain't fitting a lot of games on a 1 terabyte.
Nope.
Exactly.
Nope, dude. I think I literally have probably 10 games maybe on
And
my Xbox right now.
so they're kind of doing a little bit of everything that everyone else is doing. So Sony is leaning pretty heavy into a specific type of SSD.
Yeah.
Xbox has their memory expansion units.
The bitch is expensive.
The Switch is pushing
The Express.
micro SD Express
Yeah.
for their expansion. Fair.
Better read write speeds.
Everybody's got their own more or less proprietary memory expansion.
Yeah.
Nothing new here. I wasn't too worried about it. I feel like even still micro SD Express is going to be a far cheaper cost of entry
And I would say that just to give Nintendo their flowers, you're more likely to have micro SD Express in this day and age than you are to have a proprietary fucking storage unit. Like
yes,
a brick,
I will say that I was checking prices on that. For a 256 is about $50.
So that's not, you could double your storage.
Get close to 500 gigabytes.
Yeah, and the thing is, though, we also do got to remember that even though 4K is a possibility,
not every game is going to be in it.
Yep, and also the Switch 1 also had a compression thing to store those games on those cartridges.
True.
So you're probably going to get a sort of similar thing.
Well, it does make me curious, because will it be a case of like, because my Switch does actually have a lot of games on it. Even the native 32 gig didn't. I mean, Dragon Quest 11 would be like, fuck you, buddy. But I have a 512 in my thing now, so
which you can confirm transfer over.
Yep.
Also, correction on something that I stated earlier about the virtual cartridges. You can share them to anybody on your Switch family plan.
Not just that. So you can do it locally, and if you're in game chat with someone, you can share the game with them.
Yeah. So do you remember like the old school Mario Kart DS type game share?
They've introduced that.
Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know. Yeah. So we've gotten through the hardware.
Yeah, which let's be honest, like best we've seen from Nintendo in a while.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna say this: anybody who expected more from a primarily handheld device is literally crazy. I just want to point that out, because this is about as good as we can get. We're confirmed getting Elden Ring. You know what I mean? I don't want to jump too far ahead, but we're getting a lot of games that are
so
chonky.
This is going to be my first major piece of umbrage.
Okay.
The Nintendo Switch 2 World Tour thing. So the tutorial that teaches you about your console is paid.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Now,
are you sure about that?
Yes, it is. So they specifically said it is paid software.
Yes.
Which is crazy. Because now get this. There was a bundle with Mario Kart World, which means technically that is the pack-in game. And then what should be the pack-in game, you have to pay for separately.
Mini games and tutorials and stuff.
I'm never gonna.
I'm not.
Neither am I.
Because that's an Astro's play. That's Astro's
Playroom was free though.
That
it was.
But here's the thing.
Am I not gonna get it? Am I not gonna get it? I feel like I'm gonna get it just to be able to talk
screw
about
around with it.
Yeah,
so here's the thing. They listed a price of 990 yen, which translates to under $10 most likely.
That's not awful.
It's not awful, but it is still kind of a spit in the eye.
Yeah, because how often are you going to play it? You know what I mean? Apparently, there's like secrets and stuff you can find in the mini.
I don't care.
Yeah, I genuinely agree with you.
Yeah, not compelling.
Yeah,
Why am I paying roughly $10 for a tutorial?
Yeah, and it's not even like, because Nintendo Land was a pretty hefty game, if you think about it.
Because that's going to be the other thing, right? You really think I'm not going to sit down and immediately start fucking with that thing the day I get it?
Yeah, you don't need to show me around. I'll figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and mini games to go with your tutorial, nah, that doesn't move me.
See, like if they were like, hey, there's a base version that's free that teaches you about all the stuff. There's a $5 version that gives you a shit ton of mini games.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, $5. Because that's the thing is, when you're talking about, you already have games that are mini game centric anyways.
Mario Party.
Jamboree being one of them. And
which
that also
already is getting mouse control.
So
mic control. Yeah.
It's just trying to tell you how, this is how the magnets connect. Do we really need to know how magnets work?
Well, here's going to be my thing for you. What if they don't include any paperwork and that's the only way to get the tutorial?
Thinking about how they're doing this, they might. I wouldn't.
I can't say, viewers and listeners, that is how it's going to be, but
that'd be
when was the last
wild.
time you got a book inside a video game case? Now, for some of our viewers and listeners, you may not actually have ever bought a physical game and don't remember those kick-ass little books.
Yeah.
Like if you know what a meniscus is and if it's an issue, you know what You know what instruction manuals used to be.
So I would say, because obviously we talked about the hardware, but the games were the star of the show, right? We can say this now.
So do we, since it's kind of hardware related, controllers?
One more again about the hardware. The controllers, I was surprised.
About what?
I was surprised how much they added a lot more as far as the microphone. They added a lot more as far as how the speakers project.
Yeah.
Sound has been big with them.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting. And I would also say, because there's obviously two other primary, well, aside from the paddles that the Joy-Con connect to, that's much the same as a Switch 1.
Yeah.
But I have to highlight, just because y'all know about my controller excursion, I gotta say the Pro controller for the Switch 2 surprised the hell out of me.
Okay, why?
It looks good.
So
It does.
So
I
not
wanna
only
hear
is it
specifics.
just an improvement on, the actual Switch 1 Pro controller design, which was actually remarkably good,
Good controller.
but to have programmable back buttons
Yeah.
is crazy.
And a headphone jack.
And a headphone
Yeah,
jack.
they
were
came at it pretty
cooking
good.
with that, because when I saw that, I'm like, dude, because the Pro controller for the Switch 1 obviously was just essentially just a normal controller. It was
Yeah.
a really good normal controller, but it was a normal controller. I'm playing with the Elite controller for the Xbox Series X right now, and having those back buttons, really cool. It's something that I'm used to paying upwards of $100 for. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And now a stock Pro controller, which is probably going to run, I'm going to guess.
It's going to be close to 70.
Yes,
I'm going to think 80.
Yeah, I was thinking 70, 80. That was going to kind of be the range. And that's still that's a good deal to have programmable back buttons. You know what I mean? That is definitely a more premium thing. So kudos to them. And then we have the GameCube controller.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Which the only thing I'm saying.
Exclusive, however, to Nintendo Switch Online subscribers,
So,
which is interesting.
because my question is, how does that work?
Nintendo's got shop.
It does. That's true.
You
And they-
literally have to go through the Nintendo shop to buy this controller.
Yeah.
Or is it like a situation where maybe it's like software locked?
well,
Maybe you can get the controller
Oh,
anywhere. But it's just
no, you buy it through Nintendo.
that is wild.
they may also sell it on Amazon or something like that, because
I would take that.
they technically can do that, right? It
Yeah.
could be the Nintendo store on Amazon.
Okay, yeah.
That is a thing that companies do. So I wouldn't be surprised, because Paizo has a store on Amazon, stuff like that. right?
So I would be okay with something like that, because availability to me is like a thing that I don't want to have any trouble getting my hands on some of this
Right,
stuff.
right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And with day one support, we'll get into that too. But brand new exclusive virtual console crap that I'm going to need that controller for.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not out here on Soul Calibur 2 without
Oh
a
my
C-stick.
gosh, dude, I was bugging when I
Yeah.
saw that.
Yeah.
But what we're gonna do? We're gonna take a quick break, and then we are gonna get into the games.
Let's do it.
So we will be right back. All right, so let's talk about games.
So
A lot to go.
I have a number to drop straight off the bat, not counting the GameCube ones. 54 titles
Insane.
were shown.
Insane.
They hit them all with the whole thing.
Insane.
They hit them all with the whole thing.
Like that, can we just say this? We waited a long time for this, right? The world at large waited a long time for this Switch 2 official showcase.
Yes.
And they did not disappoint.
They did not.
I will tell you this, they did not disappoint.
So here's just the first page of games I wrote down: Mario Kart World, Metroid Prime 4, Pokemon Legends ZA, Dragon Drive, Elden Ring Tarnished Edition,
They
Hades
got
2.
that special upgrade
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
Pokemon.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna, before you continue, I got guffed because exactly what I thought was gonna happen happened. They didn't add any extra detail to anything. It just looks a little sharp.
Oh, shut up.
It's still flat buildings with JPEGs. I'm still mad about
Shut
it.
up.
Street Fighter 6 with the Fighters Edition and Amiibo support.
Dude, I lost
Serotonin.
my mind when they had
You released a little, didn't you?
dude, oh my gosh, bro. They have freaking brand new amiibos for Street Fighter 6 of all things.
Yeah.
Would have never guessed it.
So
It's kind of cool to, just as a quick aside, kind of cool that they didn't completely just shank the amiibos. It was like,
I was blown
thank
away
you for
by
buying them, but fuck yourself. No, they're like, hey, now you can get,
so the
I
game
can't remember
they
that character's
showed
name. Kimberly as an
after,
amiibo.
they showed after Street Fighter 6 a game that I'm actually kind of very interested in. So the Daemon X Machina Tectonic Scion.
Oh my gosh, dude,
That
that game looks slick, dude.
That was looking good.
Mech is coming back, bro.
Yes,
Mech is
it
coming
is.
back, and I'm here for
there
it.
you go. I believe at the end of last month there was like a big Gundam event in New York City.
Dude, I'm here for it. Let's go.
Split Fiction, which that is a very big contender for Game of the Year this year, I think.
Yeah.
Everything I've been seeing, and I have a friend that's beaten it, and he's like, it's a 10 out of 10. It's probably in my top 10 games.
Well, it's funny too because the same developer did It Takes Two,
Yes.
and they just knock it out of the park. They
I
just
agree.
make good games.
The
And A Way Out
asymmetrical
before
co-op.
that was
Yeah.
their first game.
Oh, I forgot A Way Out was them.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yep. A Way Out, It Takes Two, and Split Fiction.
They literally have just bangers.
That's their bag.
Oops, all bangers.
Yep.
Madden and FC 25. I don't care.
Okay. Hear me out. I haven't bought a Madden game in close to 10 years.
I think for me it's been longer. I think
I've never bought a Madden.
Hey, you want to know what? The last Madden game I bought was for the PlayStation Vita.
Okay.
you bought wow.
First of all, chill.
That's wild.
First of all, 100%.
Your Vita's still running, ain't it?
Yeah, and I still have that. I might still have that Madden cart that I bought.
Crazy.
So I really like football. American football. Fuck!
You want to use Madden 2018's assets, huh?
It's okay on the.
I'll grab them assets.
Why is it?
I'll grab them assets with both my hands.
Oh my gosh, I hate you for that. It's okay on the.
Did you two trade bodies? Why is he the degenerate now?
You know what I mean? Something happened.
Girthy Peach.
Yeah, Girthy Peach happened. I will say the reason why I say it's okay for the Switch too, right? When you get ripped off on like a PlayStation 5 Pro with like old assets, you're like, what the fuck is this? But if it's on a handheld, kind of works.
Right, but if they charge,
Oh, they're gonna charge for they're gonna charge. You're all
I
right.
can't drop
All right.
that yet.
Yeah.
I haven't bought it. I haven't bought it in like 12 years.
right? But
You're gonna pay that much? All right, we'll get there. We'll get there. We're jumping ahead.
I'm gonna do it one time. I hit it one time.
Hogwarts Legacy,
Upgraded version.
Yes.
With
Yep.
mouse control.
yes.
Dude, they
Elden
were
Ring.
Dude, they were fucking
yo,
slamming the ground. Bro, crazy.
I already mentioned Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Speaking
but
of
like,
which, though, let's take a moment.
we're going all over the place.
But I know, but I do want to take a moment on
Let's
that.
get to the actual sports game that's worth a damn on this list.
I want to take a moment on Elden Ring though. This is what I want to say about Elden Ring, right? So that was one of the big impressive things when it came to as we talked about in our prior episode, the handheld gaming PCs. People love the fact that you can take a game like Elden Ring on the go, right?
Yep.
And to me, like that was kind of like the moment that I was like, we're in for something here.
Right. We'll get there because FromSoft was cooking in this.
Yeah,
video
they were.
too.
I couldn't
We had
imagine playing.
copyright-friendly Bloodborne.
More on that later.
I can't find myself playing a game like that, and not being able to lock my body in. Like playing a game like that in portable mode just seems like it'd be,
Bro.
like you just need to be able to.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4.
And Bam Margera is actually going to be in it.
Yeah.
So have you been?
There was, yeah.
My gosh, he's kind of he's on a good comeback. He's skating again.
That's fucking
like,
good to hear.
Let's go.
That hurt my heart.
Yeah.
To see he was
Oh my
doing
gosh.
bad.
Oh my gosh.
Hitman World of Assassination.
Yep. Which come on now. Come on now.
That game's a circus.
Well, yeah, that's
the
you're
fun
an
of it.
assassin. Here's your toys. Have fun. It's your playground.
My
Kill them how
gosh.
you want.
Yes.
I don't like it when you say it.
And then, of course, from the same studio, Project 007.
My gosh, dude.
Yo, I almost like peed myself.
Dude,
You also almost released.
so
Indeed.
we'll say, and I'm gonna kind of preface this as saying that it almost seemed like, if having not seen it before, that was like a Nintendo thing. So I was like, oh, GoldenEye, right? But the thing is, it is coming out on pretty much every platform. But I'm glad to see that the Switch 2 is getting it.
I'm glad they reached out and grabbed it first.
But yeah, so that's just the first page of games I have. Are there any others you guys really want to talk about on this page?
So the thing I do want to kind of highlight is just, because this has kind of been the complaint is, oh, it's getting the old games, right? Oh, they're getting ports of old games, yada, 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 right? But the thing is when you look at those, like 007 is a brand new game.
Yeah.
It's not out yet. It's coming out on everything. So it's like
Borderlands 4, though.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh, we'll get it.
That's that page 2.
Back to Pokemon Legends EA, because I do have to take a point of umbrage with you from last week, because we were talking about Indiana Jones and the Great Circle.
Yeah.
And you were like, that's the benchmark for handheld, but you were like, all these high-end, good-looking games are usually played like shit. And then you were like, the low-poly games are usually better, but you're out here ragging on Pokemon.
So wait. There is,
Check yourself,
Hold-
tiny marsupial.
I had you fucking
what?
I have
I give a fuck?
good reasoning behind this, right? I am
You
not,
better pick your words very carefully.
let me say this first. I am not a hardware first person. I am not. I will play Marvel Rivals on the ROG Ally X before I'll play it on a massive gaming PC, right?
Mhm.
The thing that gets me about Pokemon in general.
That's such
is
a
that-
high dollar comment, by the way.
It's a high dollar, isn't it?
Continue. Continue.
Makes me sound bougie. I ain't that bougie, I promise. The thing about Pokemon in general that gets me, it's not by choice that they're doing these things.
Hmm.
It's one of two things. One of three things. Lazy development, bad development, rush development.
Okay.
That's why I don't take appreciation with what's happening, whether it's the people above the actual developers, coders, modelers, you know what I mean? If it's them who's doing it, if it's the company in general just kind of being lazy, not enough, but whatever it is, it's just not an intentional choice. If you gave me a game that looked like a PlayStation 1 game and said, I meant for it to look like that, I'm also only charging $25 for
Did you
it.
play Crow Country last year?
I did not. I
You should.
have. I should have. You mentioned it, and I
did.
never got around to
So, I mean, we're-
taking over my life.
we're not going to sit here and let
We're
you-
not.
We're taking your
But-
soapbox right
But
away.
you have got to. You got to at least give me the fact that I'm not just being a douche about it. That is solid reason.
Fair. I don't. If anything, I think the bigger problem with it would be is that Pokemon is the largest media franchise in the world. But why is it that Game Freak is the only studio that seems to have that problem? I think would be the more interesting take on it.
You know
'Cause-
what? I could take that.
Studio Metroid or whatever the hell the studio that makes Metroid is.
Fair.
Not a.
Is
that
it retro
game-
right now?
So retro
I
games.
think it's retro. Yep. I think
So
it's retro right now.
Metroid 4 looked fucking great for Switch 1 and 2.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Gosh,
Okay,
that
yeah.
game! I can't wait.
They hit him. They hit him all with the whole thing.
Page 2. Bravely Default is getting a remaster.
Which hyping for? I'm going after it.
So I'm having a moment with that one.
Really?
Didn't realize how thick that character was.
Oh, I was going to say, I was like, it does remind me of Brave Fencer Musashi.
My gosh, dude, I appreciate you so much now for mentioning that.
Yakuza 0 Director's Cut.
I played Yakuza 0.
The
I
Yakuza games are crazy.
Deeply recommend that game.
And-
Yeah,
and
they're
I
great. They're
Yeah.
great.
And I think that's going to have Switch 2 exclusive content. That's another thing
Yeah.
to look forward to when it comes to third party and Nintendo. Their exclusive content, always bangers.
Hyrule Warriors, whatever the fuck the subtitle is.
It was
Age of Imprisonment.
Age of Imprisonment. That's what it was. The thing, okay, let's
I-
get,
No, it
liked
looks good. I just didn't remember the fucking subtitle for a second.
so remember we were talking about Echoes of Wisdom?
Yeah.
And remember how I was mad because they made Zelda throw stuff?
Now Zelda throws stuff.
No, Zelda's fighting in
She
that.
throws hands.
She throws hands.
Yeah.
You're right about that. Okay.
Well, she's throwing
You
swords.
didn't let me land.
Yeah, I didn't let you land. I'm
She's
sorry.
technically throwing swords.
Yeah. But here's the thing, though. I am so happy to see that, and I am so happy to see it look exactly like Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
I'm happy for that.
I thought that it was. You want to know? I was actually kind of worried.
Oh,
I
gosh.
thought that they were going to do a side story in the same engine as Tears of the Kingdom,
Mhm.
and it was going to be weird.
Yeah.
But Hyrule Warriors, I think the fact that they're utilizing that series
Oh gosh.
so completely and they're putting it into the main timeline stuff,
They're doing well. They're doing well.
they
with that, yep.
they got it.
Mhm.
We did talk about GameCube games a little bit. I'll talk about the 3 they mentioned. Wind Waker, always good.
Yeah, who would have thought?
Yeah.
We're gonna get that.
Soul Calibur 2.
That was the highlight.
That was
for me,
big
bro.
as fuck.
Especially because
That was
Link-
big as fuck.
Link as a guest character. Oh
I
my
gotta
gosh.
tell you,
Again.
bro. I might go back in time.
Yeah,
I might.
So
I've been
I
playing
will
that
be
whole-
interested to see what if they bring Soul Calibur 6 to the Switch too and add Link as a guest character.
listen.
Nope. I don't want it
Why?
because I want 7.
Fair, but
So-
Soul Calibur 2 is actually a retelling, or Soul Calibur 6 is a retelling of Soul Caliburs 1 and 2.
Wait a
They
second.
rebooted the franchise.
So it would kind of make sense. wouldn't
Yes.
it? I would take that. And the funny thing,
I just
And
really
what is
want.
Project Soul doing right now?
I just really want another Soul
and you know
Calibur
what?
game.
You know what? Fun 7.
6 on the Switch too.
I'm just saying, you get those Nintendo
Well,
fans buying
So
it.
They'll
here's
buy
the
it.
thing. Here's the thing,
Game over.
especially if you put Link in it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, right? It is something that Harada has talked about. He's like, there are people on Project Soul that have the passion, but there's no soul like driving force like him, because if a suit shows up and tries to tell him what to do in Tekken, he's basically
yeah.
like, fuck you, get out.
I love Harada.
And-
Yeah.
I love the one tweet he sent out like 2 years ago at this point that was like, why does everyone want me to add Waffle House to Tekken 8?
Because they be throwing hands at Waffle House. You hear that?
Listen, true story I'm about to tell.
Oh boy.
So, my friends and I, when we'd get out of work late at night, we'd go to Waffle House because it was the only place open. Good, cheap food, right?
Man, I
Yep.
wish we had a Waffle House.
Yes, I agree. A guy came in drunk off his ass while we're all there at like 2 o'clock in the morning. Started fighting the cook. We hadn't even ordered yet.
That.
The cook kicked this dude's ass, threw him out to the cops who had just shown up, washed his hands, and started making
Got
our
back
food.
to it. Oh my gosh, bro.
Waffle House
Oh my
is different.
gosh, bro.
It's almost like it calls for a certain it calls
Caliber
for
of person.
a certain caliber of hero.
If you're potentially listening, this particular Waffle House cook, we would love to have you on.
I doubt he would remember.
There
me.
is-
It was over 10 years ago.
And the thing about
Watch
it,
him be like,
behind the counter, they don't fucking play.
yo, dude, they don't, bro.
No.
They don't, bro.
Oh,
Like, they'll be perfectly happy with you if you're on your side of the counter. You cross to theirs, they're like,
You've taken your
I
life
got
into
a spacula that's serrated.
yeah.
Now I will
We're
say,
serving swinging on your ass, bro.
I will say this though, when you
Number
when,
7.
if you've ever looked into how they do their system of like crap at the Waffle House, you would understand why they're always throwing hands back there.
Yeah.
They're like, turn the packet of ketchup sideways. That means it gets eggs with cheese. Be like, it's crazy. They have a whole system.
Well,
It's nuts. You look into it one time. It's interesting.
there's freaking wow. Okay, Navy SEALs.
F-Zero GX with racer customization, which there is a franchise that I'm hoping this might reinvigorate Nintendo in interest in the F-Zero franchise.
They're
They're gearing up, I think.
I
there's
think so,
there's
too.
another game that's
they're
gonna be
leading
on
with the
this-
jab.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see a Star Fox,
For
a new
sure.
F-Zero, and I want an on-rail shooter Star Fox,
Yep.
not whatever you did with the GameCube. The one for the Wii
Though-
U wasn't bad.
Listen.
I'm not gonna talk about crystals. nobody assumed that.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna just try to head you off
Are
at
you
the
sure
pass.
you're not a furry?
You see that new
You exhibit all the familiar symptoms of a furry.
you see that new character from Donkey Kong?
Yes, we'll get there.
We'll get
Oh
there.
my word.
Deltarune chapters 1 through 4.
Which come on.
The soundtrack in that game, one of the best.
Yeah. Well, that's Undertale. Deltarune is
No,
technically.
I'm talking about
You are
Deltarune.
talking Deltarune?
Yeah.
because that I think just
I didn't like
that
Undertale.
line of games in general, just they do well with like just
Just remember,
amusing.
Actually-
Deltarune is an anagram of Undertale.
Yes.
Yeah, which I mean, they kind of spoiled a little bit of crap. Now, the thing is, I never officially played Undertale.
Mm-hmm.
I've always had a passing interest, but I just never got around to it.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, the some of the stuff that they showed in that little showcase
They
spoiled
did.
it.
They
I
did.
was like,
Yeah.
fuckers.
All is well, though.
Borderlands 4, where Mr. I shouldn't be on Twitter himself was active.
Which can we? Was anybody else a little uncomfortable with that? Because I was hyping. I was like, yeah, but then he's had a past, man. He's had a past,
Yep.
that one.
Yeah, don't leave flash drives with pornography around people.
You know.
Yeah. As
But-
long as it's normal stuff.
But that's
It was, but like, what a thing to have at your office, bro.
Oh my gosh, right?
Yeah, I mean,
So yes, it was legal pornography.
But it's still.
because here's the thing.
why do you have it on a flash drive, you fucking boomer?
Absolutely. It's fucking wild to me. But I'm telling you, when I hear about a scandal, I'm like,
Yeah. No, you're right.
and then as soon as you hear he was just a freak, I'm like,
Yeah.
hey,
Freak, not a creep.
Yeah.
It could have been worse. You're right.
Yeah,
you're
he's
right.
just a
It
freak.
could've- it
So
could've-
I will say the one thing that looked super slick in this was the grappling hook
Yep.
in that
Yep.
Borderlands 4 trailer. Like, especially because if you've played Borderlands 3, it does have really good movement.
yeah,
You can say what you want about the story, and I could
yeah,
do a whole
yeah,
episode
don't
on that.
even.
Yeah, I'm
But the
Don't
game
even
and
trip. I know you were
gunplay in Borderlands 3 is the best in the series, hands down.
Yeah, and I think that's another fine example though of people saying that all they showed was old games. I'm like, Borderlands 4 is new. Bro.
Check
It's gonna be
yourself,
new.
buddy. Check-
The next one, very interesting, Civilization 7 with mouse controls on the Switch 2. Now, here's the thing. Have either of you played 4X games at all? This is a genuine question.
No, I have
Okay,
not.
they are a lot. The idea of playing one without a mouse makes my brain so like
Yeah,
it's just like a fuzzy cactus.
yeah,
right?
it just
Like,
doesn't.
it's just a staticky, stabby balloon rubbing on the surface of my brain, and I'm like,
That sounds horrifying.
But then,
exactly.
But then they
now,
show up with this.
It's got mouse support.
yeah, they really are coming out.
They need to
strong.
put the Age of Empires. They got Age of Mythology. They need to.
So
You have been on a kick of Age of
we
Empires.
know though that Microsoft has been working on a lot of stuff with Nintendo. So I think you're gonna see Age of Empires 2,
Hey.
maybe 4, and Mythology come to.
I
the
think they
Switch.
should give it all.
I will say I'm one of my little chagrins, as it were, is they didn't really talk about that partnership too much. I would have liked.
Well, Nintendo's not going to want to put in a different console developer with this.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I,
So that's a
if
good
anything, I bet you Microsoft will be the one that talks about it first.
point. Good point.
And I don't think we're going to get anything before June or July on it.
Fair.
If
fair.
July, I'm playing Halo Infinite on Switch. I'm in.
Well,
Dude,
I think they've announced Master Chief Collection.
Yeah, that's
But I
ridiculous.
need Infinite. Have you all played Infinite?
No.
well, I play.
It's pretty good. I know that there's a lot of people who talk a lot of shit about it. Pretty good game.
Hey, I'm
willing
into
to.
it.
I'm willing. to go
Everything
on
I've heard is that the multiplayer's good, the story is not.
There you go. That's
and that's for real.
That does sum it up.
WWE 2K and NBA 2K.
So WWE 2K, I'm holding back my excitement for that because WWE 2K on the Switch 1 was a clown act. Clown act. These guys didn't try to put that on there. They didn't try to actually port it
Yeah.
well. It was so buggy, crappy looking.
You know what they should bring back though is WCW versus NWO from the 64.
I would love that. I would love that. So that is why
That was a good one.
Okay, that
That
is
was a
why-
good pull.
So I will say that though, I wish kind of with this new, kind of partnership with these third parties, I wish that we could start getting some of those
Yeah.
old games kind of brought back.
So Survival Kids looked decent. Not a bad game
Looks
for kids.
cozy.
It's not something I'm gonna play, but for that audience, I think
it's one of those toxic cozy games. I'm gonna coin a phrase here: toxic cozy.
Yep.
you did that last week. Yeah.
No, that's because of him. That's all.
Enter the Gungeon 2.
What was it?
Enter the Gungeon 2.
Oh yeah.
Which did you play the first one?
I never played Enter the Gungeon.
It's on Game Pass.
I'll have to give it a
check
shot.
It out.
I'll
It's
give
not
it a
bad. Starseeker Astroneer Expedition.
Look, it
Look,
doesn't mean much to me, but I'm sure.
So
It looked all right.
So I think when they got to what was that Island Kids
Survival Kids.
cozy bullshit?
Yeah.
My stream on the Nintendo of America
crash.
Cut out.
It cut out.
I heard.
So everybody was having a problem at a different point because mine didn't crash at that same point.
I swapped to the UK one, and it was right on.
I just backed out of the stream and went back in, and surprisingly enough, it worked.
I backed out 4 times in a row.
For a lot of people, it didn't work. For me, it worked.
Close the app. It was
You
crazy.
didn't hit it with that 360 no scope.
I was about to throw my tablet across the shop.
I was actually
Your
mad
coworkers
when
be
that
like,
came out.
Yeah,
Well,
I was about to do it. I was about to crash out. Nintendo of America. Hey, the fuck.
Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition.
Which, come on. So this,
Yeah, I mean,
we were kind of talking about
here
that.
for
We're
it.
like that has to be a thing because now I'm excited. Now I'm excited because The Witcher 3 happened on the Switch 1. Cyberpunk is happening on the Switch 2.
Hey, same developer, right?
Yeah,
CD Projekt Red.
I am ready for The Witcher 4 on the Switch 2. I'm ready for it.
Theoretically has the spec.
It's possible, and I'm here for it. I don't even care if it's a slightly downgraded version.
I've been playing Veilguard.
Hey, bro. Veilguard on the Switch 2? Maybe? Question mark?
I don't know.
I'd rather leave that game in the heap of the desert or of the desert of the ruins of the past that it is.
You really don't like it that much? It's kind of fun though.
The graphics are hot though.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it when we do that episode.
Yeah, fair. That's fair.
My rating has gone down since our original.
Whoa!
Yes.
Whoa! Okay, all right.
Yo, I'm so curious.
Yikes, man. So
I'm gonna keep playing. I'm gonna keep
That's
playing
fine.
it so we can vis-a-vis that thing.
So, Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate with the clear statement of expect more Final Fantasy VII content.
Which, man, I'm so glad Square Enix
Crisis
is back on. Like,
I'm expecting
I'm
Crisis Core remake, Rebirth.
I'm happy about it.
I am too. No,
hit us with that Dirge of Cerberus, bro. Hit us with the Dirge of Cerberus. That's what I want to see.
Let's not. That game was,
dude. It was trash, but wouldn't it be crazy to see Dirge of Cerberus
you know
come
what
back?
was funny is that it was actually a decent game. I did enjoy it.
You want to know what was wild about the compilation of Final Fantasy VII? Is what is his name? Genesis or Nemesis or what?
Genesis?
Genesis.
Yeah.
Fucking. I mean, his face is gacked.
Yeah,
from gacked. That fucking Visual Kai metal band.
I was into gacked for a long time, bro. I'm gonna be honest. I was.
That was a weird face for you,
I
bro.
was in my weeb shit for a long time. I would still listen to them now. And Larkin CL. Fucking let's go, boy. They were in the US, bro. I hate it. Because I wasn't there for this, but they were in the U.S. and they were touring in the U.S. This was like probably 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh,
I missed it.
That was how was this? I believe it was in February. The news broke that the band The Pillows, broke up. They're not broke up, but they're retiring.
Hmm.
I was like,
my gosh, yep,
my weeb heart,
dude. That is.
It was crazy.
Speaking
crazy
of
shit.
weeb, Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess.
Looked cool.
It is on Game Pass if you want to try it out.
Yep. Looked cool. I would be into that. I think.
Hollow Knight, Silk Song, which I was watching that part a little bit on my first break at work, and comments exploded at that part. Yep. So I need to talk to my one friend that's super into Hollow Knight because I want to know what their opinion
So
is.
I actually did play a little bit of Hollow Knight, which was actually ironic on the original Switch. I still have Hollow Knight on the Switch, and I am kind of compelled to go back through it. I will say maybe not necessarily the biggest thing for a technical showcase, but it's just good to see that the support is happening.
Story of Seasons, Grand Bazaar, Switch 2 version.
Okay.
Cozy game. Moving on. Good Night Universe. They literally showed it and moved on. 2 Point Museum, which if you play 2 Point Hospital or anything like that.
I never played any of the 2 Point games. Like I said, there are some games that just, for me personally,
Don't even
do
grab
much.
me. Yeah,
You know
it
what I
doesn't
mean?
even.
I mean, it's a game about resource management and it's kind of funny.
I kind of get into resource management a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
Wild Hearts S looked fire.
Fucking cool.
Yep.
Fucking cool. Yeah, like let's just get that out of the way.
Witchbrook pixel art game. I don't know enough about it yet.
Well, the other thing is, so not that I dislike anything about pixel art, but the thing that sucks is that that's what you get. Yeah,
It's a crutch.
Yep.
It's a crutch.
You either get pixel art, side scrolling, or possibly a top down.
Yeah.
Those are the only two. Or you get AAA slop. And I call it AAA slop nowadays because let's be real.
Puyo Puyo Tetris 2S.
I'll get it.
Just 'cause
it's
it's
Tetris,
Tetris?
bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Tetris.
It's Poyo Poyo.
Yeah, yeah.
Rune Factory Guardians of Azama.
So that little snippet actually looked cool.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
the
lie.
Rune Factory games have actually always been interesting.
They seem like their budget is getting higher.
2 things. 1, it's a cozy game.
Rune Factory is not a cozy game, sir. It's a dungeon crawler.
You're thinking of an OG Harvest.
You want to know what? I'm gonna draw the line. That's just a pick me ass cozy game.
Pick me.
Is that
cozy
your
game.
beef this week?
Cozy games, and by extension, cozy gamers.
Careful.
No.
when
I don't want to do it. I don't want to do.
He's gonna say this to his wife, and
Yeah, I'm gonna
we're
say
gonna
when we
be
find
down
out
a
he was
host
sleeping
next
on the
week.
couch tonight, we'll know why.
Well, whatever. It needs to be said.
Hey, he's staying on business. I can't
Can't
tell.
The next game though did look sick as fuck. Marvel Cosmic Invasion.
Yep.
It looks like that old school fucking Sega
I
X-Men.
think did they take the Spider-Man sprite from Marvel vs. Capcom 2?
It deadass looks like
I
it, don't
kind
it?
of felt like it did,
It looks-
and I was like,
Oh my gosh, it looks so
I was
fire.
hype.
It looks so
that
fire.
looks really good.
Yep.
Look
yep.
amazing.
They showed 4-player later on with like
Dude.
Wolverine, Spider-Man.
Because first of all,
Marvel's been cooking and as far as games.
Marvel has been cooking,
Yeah.
and these 4-player games like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle ones,
Gosh,
I'm
yeah,
so
yeah,
deep in that right now.
bro. Let's go.
Cowabunga collection came out.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna have a lot of fun being able to just like hop online with the voice chat, even with potentially the video chat, because I like how they're integrating. it in
Yes,
the
that
games.
is very nice.
Yeah. I'm gonna
The
like.
fact that you can watch somebody else's game, too,
Yeah,
I
it's
like that. I
cool.
like that.
it's kind of like a LAN party from back in the day.
You
when
know what I
get
mean?
down to it.
Ooh, that's what I'm saying. It scratched a certain type of itch, and you have to be a mega hater to not be excited about some of the stuff. That
That might have did a little reversal of fortune on the C button. Anger.
Ooh,
Star Wars Outlaws.
which
I have not played it, so I can't really say one way or the other. If I
well,
like it or
people are
dislike it.
hating Ubisoft. People are hating Ubisoft.
I've never said it like that.
I always thought it was Ubi, but I'm gonna go with Ubi. People are hating on Ubisoft. The thing is, if you take the business practices out of it, it is still Star Wars Outlaws. It is a newish game. You know what I mean? They can't sit there and say that all the Switch 2 is getting as old games. That also means potentially Assassin's Creed Shadows is potentially coming to the Switch 2. And Assassin's Creed Shadows, let me tell you, until you get Ghost of Yotai,
That might be the wombo as far as like
that's the
feudal
game right
Japanese.
But what if we get Ghost of Tsushima on the Switch too?
I
It
would-
came to PC.
I would just. I would have
Gatekeeping mode
said
active. They can't have it.
We're gonna write haiku.
You want to know what?
Refrigerator will be involved because it is exactly 5 syllables.
You want to know what?
There's your haiku cheat code for the day, children.
That's crazy.
What you shouldn't be watching.
I'm a little bit. I don't know. As a quick aside, I feel like I'm running out of forgiveness for PlayStation.
Ooh, okay.
Interesting.
This is kind of shocking.
Expound.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that.
Yeah,
for a
I want to
second.
know. I want to
Let's-
know.
They keep taking really good games off of the PlayStation Plus catalog.
Oof.
They're flatlining on all of their exclusives.
Yeah.
They're shovel passing it to the PC, and they are making it almost impossible to feel, and as a fanboy, any type of excitement for the future.
So
and it's been this way for a hard, long time.
You're right.
As almost as long as we've been doing this podcast.
Yeah. So
And,
that's the interesting thing, right? In particular, we've talked about it quite a bit on the podcast. What exclusive does the PlayStation 5 have
That's what I'm saying.
that makes you want to spend basically $600 after tax on the game and the thing?
Yeah.
So I will say this. This is kind of an interesting time to interject a little bit of that aside energy here.
Okay.
And I
That
think
part of the show. Let's go.
I think this is kind of the advantage that Nintendo has right now. Because I will be honest, Sony is I'm going to say a little bit worse off than Microsoft this generation, in particular because Microsoft has a lot to offer as far as their games as a service thing. Any type of first party game you could possibly want from Microsoft, you can get on Game Pass Ultimate. Sony doesn't really have any must-have first-party titles. However, Nintendo does.
Right.
Strong.
They got
Nintendo is always, unless you're emulating,
You know what
legitimately.
I mean?
and like that's
For our
been
listeners, I raised my eyebrows because most of it's not.
and as far as that goes, now we're rolling over to another potential 8 years worth of now at least comparable
That's what I'm
gaming,
saying.
and it's going to be comparable gaming to whatever have you,
Right. And
then it's going to also have exclusives.
so that's the thing, right? I'm expecting Microsoft's next console to be very similar to the Switch, especially if Asus is developing it. I'm
Yep.
expecting something like a Switch dock
Yeah.
Yep.
that you can just go from handheld mode, and then it'll have mouse support. It'll have all the stuff that the Xbox Series X has. Microsoft saw this writing on the wall 7 years ago, right?
Yeah.
They really started transitioning in the Xbox One generation.
Yep. And I know that people are kind of mad about what Microsoft's been doing, but if you look
Okay.
at it, this has been the most graceful transition you could ask for.
Yes, I will say I'm not happy about everything Microsoft is doing,
Yeah.
but GameSoft. I'm thinking about FromSoft because I want to talk about that game.
Yeah,
we'll get
that's
there, we'll get there.
yeah. Let's
But Microsoft Game Pass is one of the best deals in gaming.
For sure.
For sure.
For sure. Beyond a shadow of a doubt. And I think, you know what? This is kind of where it needs to go a little bit. I think, you know, when you look at where Microsoft is going, it's kind of taking a nice little, I'm not going to say a bow out, because a bow out means that you're not fighting no more.
Yeah.
They're fighting a different battle.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And right now, that's why I'm so excited about the
Right,
Switch
but
too, is
that's
because
right. But that's the thing, right? Our phone can be our Xbox. Smart fridge can be your Xbox.
which is
Samsung TVs, if you have an Xbox controller, you can play Xbox.
yeah, I've been seeing advertisements for that
Yeah.
crap. You know what I mean? I'm like, that's crazy.
it's a
Then they
whole
have
different.
native Bluetooth, and you $54 on top of your PC or on top of your TV.
I'm all
and
right
you
with
can
that.
Throw Xbox on it,
I'm all right
and
with
it
that.
works even on fairly shitty internet.
Yeah.
That's the one thing, and we talked about it. We talked about it last time. PlayStation don't got it like that, and
Right.
Yeah.
It's been a rough couple months, man.
That's
Yeah.
why Square Enix is not doing Sony exclusive anymore, right? They sold Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on PC on Steam within 3 days. It outsold PlayStation 2-1. It was in Steam's top 10. It might still be there.
Now
I
put that
believe it.
sucker on the Switch too. It's gonna be crazy.
So we'll
Square
get back
Enix
to
coming
this.
back. I'm just
we'll
letting
get
you know
back to
that.
this list though.
Yep.
Nobunaga's Ambition, Awakening Conquest Edition, or whatever the fuck that was.
If you're into it, I've never been a big
Nobunaga's Ambition looks good.
Yeah.
I'm super interested in it. Fast Fusion racing game, cool.
Looks like F-Zero.
A little. Shadow Labyrinth. Don't have a whole lot. They didn't show a whole lot.
Yeah.
Rido remastered, Mystery of the Soulless Army. Meh.
Like that's the one thing is I think there is something for everybody in this direct.
Yes.
It's just that there was so much in there that I'm like, there's a good chunk of it I'm not really like personally hyped about, but I'm just hyped that it's there. You know what I mean?
No sleep for Kaname Date from the Somnium Files. Reanimal, Fortnite competitive on the Switch.
Yeah, which I mean, just looking at the footage that they had, I can already tell you.
I was a little bit hyped. I was a little bit.
I didn't know how bad the Switch version was until you started playing it heavy with our sister.
Yep.
And I jumped in. I was playing on the Switch, and my gosh, it was unplayable.
When you're locked at 30 FPS and Fortnite against PC and console players,
Yeah.
Crossplay should not have been allowed.
Yeah.
Switch has enough players that it could be its own ecosystem.
Yeah.
Arcade Archives 2, Ridge Racer.
Yeah, let's
Looks
go.
good. Professor Layton and the New World of Steam.
Which looks cool.
Yeah,
It does look cool.
If you're into the Professor Layton games, that's cool.
Yeah, that does look cool.
Tamagotchi Plaza.
Which,
Weird.
bro, what?
Tomodachi is a
Tamagotchi.
Yeah. No,
Tamagotchi.
this is actually like the Tamagotchi.
Tamagotchi.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
heard
you know
that.
Tomodachi Life is already a thing. That's coming
Yeah.
back anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, this Tamagotchi boy.
Wow.
Then Human Fall Flat 2.
Not a bad game.
If you're into it, you're into it.
Yeah.
So now we have the last 3 games that they gave the most time to at the end, right? So which one do you guys want to talk about first? Because this is pretty much going to be our closer.
Yep.
I'm gonna say let's get From Software out the way because this kind of blew me out the water here, bro.
The Dusk Bloods.
So this got the thing that got
looked
me.
great.
First of all, let's get this berserk looking ass shit. Like it was crazy. Did you see that crazy ass face moon? That was a little bit Majora's Mask. That was a little bit berserk.
It was a little bit near Automata.
It was a little bit. Oh, it was a little bit near.
Taro, man.
I'm telling you right now, bro. First of all, that was just was stunning to me. Like
Majora's Mask.
Yeah.
It had all of the From Software design flair. It had all of the.
Let's talk about specifically. This is why I called it copyright friendly Bloodborne, right? But straight up, Nintendo went to FromSoft and paid them to develop an exclusive.
Which this blew me away when I found that out.
FromSoft is usually Sony's butt buddy.
Like I said, it's been a hard couple of months.
Yeah. So we're
Years.
I've been. You don't understand the level of simping that I was doing.
True. So he's like I was holding on to it until
Madam PlayStation, your crown. I'll need that back.
I'm gonna need my crown back.
It looks great, right? Suddenly now it just turns into like a Nintendo logo.
I mean, if you turn it a certain direction, you can make it look like an N with a dick.
I mean,
my gosh, bro.
that kind of sums up Nintendo's Direct.
No,
Just schlonging on
Yep,
PlayStation.
so the thing that kind of got me, because when I was first looking at it, I was like, okay, this is cool, because I was kind of expecting it to be like, oh, coming to all platforms, yada yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
And when I read about it after the fact, I found out it was exclusive. I'm like, this is something here, because From Software is the shit right now.
Yeah.
People just love that
Elden
company.
Ring was rated the greatest game of all time by Dexerto, which we talked about that list. That's a good episode. Go listen to it.
Yeah. Also, I do want to point out though, it has been touted as the greatest game of all time from like a lot of different, and at least game of the year.
I don't disagree with it being game of the year in 2022. It was.
So I will say the thing that gets me, and the reason why I am going to pick up Elden Ring for the Switch 2, is the thing that kind of got me about Elden Ring and just everybody talking about it was just the kind of ability to just drop in and this is your world.
Yeah.
People are still discovering secrets about that game now, and it's been out for as long as,
It's a rich open world environment, and like this
vampire aesthetic, steampunk a little bit.
So I will say, when I first saw it, I actually thought it was CD Projekt Red's next game that's not coming out. That's not Witcher 4. It's from CD Projekt developers. It's like Until the Dawn or something.
I
like that.
think, yeah. I think I know what you're talking. I forgot about that game. I think I know what you're talking
But
about.
that game in
Right.
particular sounds cool because basically you only have a certain amount of time before the game ends, so you can't do everything, but you get to rewind time with New Game Plus, so you
Yeah.
can do different stuff.
Right.
See, when I was initially looking at, because when they kind of went over the vampire kind of thing,
Yeah.
I was like, this could be anything right now.
Right.
was
I
like,
thought it was like, is it like a VTM type of
yeah.
like
That is supposed to come out later this year, though. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2?
Let's put a Switch 2.
Maybe.
Hey,
That'd be smart.
anything can happen right now. I'm convinced of that.
it was, and it kind of looked like there was like a brief part during the trailer where it kind of looked like there was a second player.
Yeah.
So
Which has been Elden Ring was their best game about it, but literally somebody had to make a mod so you could just do it all the time.
yeah. Let's have this
Full co-op.
full co-op.
I agree.
With the
Up to
chat,
4.
with the video, because I would love to be able to be like, even if it's like when you die, like maybe instead of having like the souls and like the campfires and stuff like that, just like it could just be like you.
No,
No, it'd be hilarious. Because what if you were tilted? What if you were tilted and it shows you raging, bro? I would love that.
I don't know if
like your ghost. That really tense look that you get right before you completely die.
the constipated look.
Yep.
Oh, I can't. All
Hey,
right.
was that a fart or solid?
That airhead matter.
Well, all air has matter.
No, I meant like
Solid, yes.
yeah.
It was in a solid state, not a gaseous state.
yeah.
So I think what's up next?
Kirby Air Riders.
Oh yeah. So the thing is shortest little teaser ever, right? As soon as I saw it, I'm like, because I saw the, you know how they be revealing Kirby, right?
It was.
And when I saw him dropping on that star, I was like, dude, this.
It's like it can't be.
I'm like, don't do this to me, bro. Like, don't do this to me. And then suddenly the jets pop out. I'm like,
So here was a
I
crazy
texted you
thing.
real time,
Yeah.
bro. I was like,
I-
it's
Yeah,
a
my-
Kirby air ride.
My phone was going ding 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 ding.
Dude, we were losing.
Group chat was hype.
Yeah.
Yes, I had to mute you guys because it was disturbing people at work.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
my son comes to me. He says, "Dad, the new Nintendo is gonna have Kirby, Mario Kart."
Dude,
I said,
dude.
20 years ago they released the first Kirby Air Ride. He's looking at me like,
dude, that's gonna be awesome.
it's been
That's-
20 years.
More technically.
and we're gonna sit down with your kids and play this.
Yeah, it's
I'm
gonna
just letting
In
you know.
chat.
Yeah.
I'm just letting you know, bro. It's gonna be crazy.
Because you buy one copy and you can share it.
Listen,
yeah.
if you like,
That's gonna be the thing if if the family plan is lit like that. I mean, everybody's getting games. I'll
Dude.
start pitching in on games.
that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
You want to go check out that new game so I can play it
So
too?
that was something that I was talking about with coworkers earlier and friends is that if you have the family plan, because of that sharing, it might not be
Oh.
as bad.
You're right. You're okay.
But let's finish out.
Yeah, we
with
got one more game to talk about.
Donkey Kong Bonanza. Then we can do final reveals on prices, things like
Yep.
that. Our ratings on the
Yep.
showcase.
So Donkey Kong Bonanza, let's just be real. This is an incredibly special time for Donkey Kong because Donkey Kong has not had a 3D adventure game since 64.
I thought it was gonna. And you want to know subversion? That's my word for today. Subversion. On a couple of different occasions during this event, I thought they were going to do something stupid.
And they didn't.
I thought it was going to be Donkey Kong Country Returns, Tropical Freeze, plus Ultra, like
With
like,
the hats.
like shut the fuck up. And then it turned out it was going to be a fucking 3D adventure game.
You know
It was
what
great.
was interesting is as I was watching that trailer, for a little bit, I thought it might have actually been Donkey Kong Jr. from
Yeah.
3.
Okay,
from
that
Donkey Kong Country 3. It wasn't until he was like, just the tie that I was like, okay, it's regular Donkey
yeah.
They did some aesthetic changes to him.
Yeah.
So that was the one thing I kind of liked is
Kong.
that
The textures did look good though. They looked fucking great.
and they did automatically make it consistent, which is kind of nice because you saw when we first saw Mario Kart World, right? Showing off when they first announced the Switch 2. You saw that new design of Donkey Kong, and it kind of was reminiscent of the Mario movie.
Yeah.
But everyone was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." They made it, but now it's synonymous through Donkey Kong, what he looks like.
They kind of made him look a lot similar to like really old.
Yeah. Classic.
So
And the thing that got me right, and I think that you're starting to see a certain type of visual style that you're seeing through like Mario Odyssey, through now Donkey Kong Bonanza, and like it looks a lot like Odyssey, but just
Donkey Kong. Yeah.
up here.
it
Crazy.
looked awesome.
The fact that you can essentially the entire world is destructible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fact that you can just grab a rock and just start beating the shit out of stuff.
Have you ever seen a more Donkey Kong ass Donkey Kong game?
No.
It's like that is
You
Donkey
should be
Kong
punching
as
shit
fuck.
all day.
He's like, I got 2 fists. They're gonna do one thing:
Like
beat the shit out of you.
I feel like this is finally like a truly established 3D Donkey Kong formula. You know what I mean? Break shit, grab shit, throw shit, punch shit, dig into shit. When he went into the ground, dude, I was like,
yeah.
this is
It's
nuts.
really
man.
weird that like, the bingo card for 2025 was weirdly it was Into the Mines pretty good because we had Jinwoo from freaking Solo Leveling
gosh.
showing up big with the with the ore mining.
Yeah.
And now Donkey Kong's hitting that Jinwoo thing.
Yeah. Dude, I'm
Get
telling
aisle.
you. So I like that. That's good. No, I'm like, that kind of blew me away because I think everybody to a certain extent, because I watched a lot of the coverage leading up to the showcase, and I
Yeah.
feel like pretty much every YouTuber, streamer that you could think of was like, we need a new 3D Donkey Kong. And like, you're kind of used to everybody saying, hey, a new director's coming. I want a new 3D Donkey Kong. I want a new Fire Emblem. I want a new, you know what I mean? They just go down the list. And
Fire Emblem.
just you
though,
wait.
man.
They're going to get there. Just you
It's
wait.
gonna be crazy.
But I think that this is the first time that I've seen so many of those boxes checked off.
Yeah.
And it was insane. Like if you... There are gripes that you can have about the Switch 2 in a general sense, especially with the information that came thereafter. But if you didn't like the presentation, you're a hater.
That game loadout you cannot hate on.
No.
What we're about to discuss, maybe. So let's get to the nitty gritty. Let's get to the
We'll go skews first.
fly in the ointment.
Yeah, we'll go skews first, right?
So, do we want to cover games or console?
So let's go with the consoles because I think that this is going to be the least problematic of them. So this is what I'm saying.
Okay.
So base price being $450.
Yep, 449 plus tax.
So the thing is,
MSRP.
a lot of people kind of mad about that. A lot of people are saying it's too much. I wanted it to be 400 flat. This is what I'm saying. That was unrealistic.
I agree.
Point blank, period. There was no way when you have the Steam Deck, which is more expensive. It's $100 more expensive. Let's just get this straight. The Steam Deck is $100 more expensive. You have the ROG Ally X. Well, we'll just go with the ROG Ally Standard, which is $600.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? ROG Ally X, $800.
Yep.
Lenovo Legion Go, also $800. You know what I mean? When we have
That INEO Next Pro, $1,565.
for nothing.
So like there were certain members of a horribly ignorant game journalist group that suggested that the Switch 2 should be the same price as the Switch.
There was no way.
Yeah.
Not with
Like
the
you'd have
tech
to
that
be
they
you'd
put
have
in
to
it.
be an idiot.
Yeah. Come on, bro.
But like that's just it, right? I don't $499 is the bundle option with Mario Kart World.
Best way to get it.
I agree.
Best way to get
That's
it.
really the best way to get the console too.
Yep.
However, as I said, only going to be published through fall, manufactured through fall. So if you don't get it in that first wave,
That was definitely
not hellishly sure I'm worried about it.
I'm getting it.
It doesn't matter if it comes with Mario Kart or not. I'm going to be exposed to Mario Kart one way or another day one.
and
Whether I'm fucking purchasing it, because I will,
Yep.
or I'm
Game
sharing
share.
it with with my Switch group, which I will. You know what I mean? That worries me not even a little.
okay.
Now, and I will say this, that, you know,
But it does. Okay. My umbrage with it is that. I keep using that word today. My word of the day is umbrage.
my word or my sentence always is, you know what I mean? My sentence enhancer. I say that shit a lot.
To be fair.
To be fair.
But Nintendo does this a lot, though, right? They release bundle consoles, and then every Christmas for the past 7 years, the Mario Kart Switch bundle has come out.
That's the only bundle that they've had.
So you're saying that you think it's just going to be holiday? They're just going to keep bringing it back?
I think so.
So I think that's actually a pretty astute thing, is that bundles have always been a thing, and now that you mentioned the Mario Kart bundle always being a thing, I think if you really have a gripe about paying, we'll get into it, paying as much as you're going to pay for it, well, you can wait. You can wait for holidays, and if not the Mario Kart bundle, I'm sure they're going to have plenty of other
will.
bundles too.
So that's one thing, right? I'm very excited to get to talk to my Nintendo rep at some point. I'm very sure very soon.
I'm just saying, keep us updated
Because,
I will.
buddy, it's only it's like less than 2 months away.
Yeah, but that's the other
That's
thing.
wild
That's the other
to
thing.
me.
Have we said that June 5th?
Yeah, we did earlier.
You know what I
June
mean?
5th is the release date.
You know what I mean,
63 days or so.
dude? I'm telling you right now, bro. I'll fight somebody for it.
I'm gonna get deep into try and get that shit day one.
So here's another thing before we get into the bad news. You can actually get into a early pre-order thing
Yeah.
through invitation. So they have like some requirements, and one of them is you have to have had a year's worth of Nintendo Online. That's one of the requirements. I forget.
Check.
Yeah. There's like 2 other ones. I forgot what they were.
I'll be crossing off my list.
Oh, you have to share. You have to share your information with Nintendo so that they know for sure you've had it for a year, and then you like sign up for it, and then there's a potentiality you can get an email that's like, "Hey, go ahead and pre-order it." So you could do that now if anybody wanted to. I'm gonna be honest, it's a little too much for me.
I want to be part of that club. I'm gonna do it.
Hey, if you get it, I'm more power to you. I wouldn't be mad.
So let's get into it.
This is where it gets ugly.
So I did a little bit more sleuthing. So $80 a game digitally,
I just
$90 physically.
I just can't do this. You know what I mean? So
I don't think it's gonna be a Nintendo. I don't think it's gonna be a Nintendo problem.
So it's not, and here's the reason why.
We're gonna see it everywhere.
So GTA 6 was the one that pretty much was already confirmed that it's gonna up the price of games from that point on.
Yeah.
The thing is, Nintendo should have let them do it. I'm gonna be real. Nintendo should have let them do it. So the gripe that I have with the price point, they offer quality games. We get that. Nintendo games are always going to be good, at least to some extent.
But they never go down.
They never go down. So, and what I will say is this: it's quite good technology, right? Quite powerful. The output is up to 4K 60. You know what I mean, or 1080p 120. That's really good. But a lot of hardware has been doing that for a while. You're late to the game. And you're charging, if we're talking physical, you're charging almost $100
After tax, yes.
You know what I mean?
But here's my counterpoint.
ZA might be
$1.20
with the enhanced. Yeah,
Might be $1.20.
Crazy.
But here's the deal. We got a couple of adults on our Nintendo Switch family plan.
Yes, we do. So
We're paying $20 each.
So I think
Check.
yeah, with you bringing that up, I
That's
think
really
that
where it
kinda-
is. But if you don't have that family plan though, or someone to share these games with,
that is it. I mean,
That starts
and
to
it's
hurt.
it's gonna be everywhere. And like I'll say it again, it's not Nintendo's
Mhm.
it's not Nintendo's exclusive problem. It's
Yeah.
the industry in general.
But they should not have let it though. I will say that.
I
should not
think
have been
they
the first
wanted to
it.
cut it. I think they wanted to be on the cutting room floor for it. I'll be honest with you,
It was
because I've been seeing GTA 6 might be $100 base edition.
and okay, so if I will say this, if that is the case, 80's a steal. If that's the case. And if other
That's so fucking bothersome, dude.
But the problem is, and this is why I don't like this, is because once the floodgate is open, everybody else follows thereafter. And let's be real, there are games right now that are not worth a $60 price tag.
Agreed.
So
by a long shot, and there are so many.
Because
Yeah.
here's the thing, right? So I've used this metric on the podcast before because a YouTuber I watch once mentioned it, right? $5 an hour of content. I don't like GTA that much. I enjoy it, but I'm not a diehard GTA fan. I don't care about GTA Online. So you're going to tell me if I want this game, which even if you get it on Xbox, you can do some version of game sharing,
yeah.
which
Yeah.
kudos to Microsoft.
Yep, again.
But $100?
I don't think
You're going to tell me that
and I don't think that there's a game. I'm just gonna be real. There's not a game out right now that is worth $100. There's not a game out, even with deluxe editions, that are worth the price of deluxe.
unless
editions.
you're getting something physical in that.
yeah, something physical or a genuine like extra 10 or 15 hours of gameplay.
Yeah.
If I got an extra 10 or 15 hours of gameplay and I was paying for a digital deluxe edition, I'd be cool with it. 90% of the time, there's a skin for a character or a weapon or something like
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? Some like a digital book of some sort, which is just a bunch of JPEGs put together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's never a worthwhile thing. The price inflation, though it was already on the way and the industry was going that direction, there was no stopping it. I think it's a very bad look, especially when you purposefully don't mention the price in your showcase.
Yeah, they didn't mention the price of the console.
Yeah,
either.
yeah.
So I just looked up the virtual game card thing
Yeah.
because I had this spidey sense that it's not the Wombo.
Oh, it's not the one.
It is only certain games.
Nope. It's any game. But here's the deal.
Mm-hmm.
You can only lend one game per so I can lend you a game for up to 14 days. Then you have to return it to me.
But would you just be able to lend it again?
Yeah, but at the same time,
It's a slight inconvenience.
it's a little fucking wild.
Well, it's better than nothing because that's what digital's been so far.
But are you aware of our Steam library? Our Steam family library?
so Steam's an outlier, and
We just can download each other's games.
Yeah.
That's it.
the only
and-
thing is though, there is a limitation to that. You can't. So the
You both can't play the same game at the same time.
well, not only that, but the trade-off is also you can essentially lend out your game to anybody, any amount of people for a short amount of time on the Nintendo Switch 2.
Yep.
Whereas there's only a certain amount of people that you can share your library with on the Steam in general.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's very limited. So there's a limitation one way or the other. I'm going to say I'm not too mad about having a limitation on that because the truth is, what does Nintendo want? They want you to buy the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because
And
if it reduces because if you have 10 people on your family plan, that reduces the sales of a game by a factor of 10 per fucking family plan.
You know
right?
what I mean?
So-
They do want you to buy it, and I get it. You know what I mean? They're not going to give you everything, right? And I am not a consumer. Like a lot of modern day consumers just want
Yeah.
everything. And the truth is, there's a business behind this. They have to make money. They have to get those sales. You know what I mean? Or else Nintendo goes under, right?
right.
So I get it, but the problem lies in the value of the game that you're getting is arguably not high enough for the price point.
So,
they're
do you want to
charging
know
for it.
the only game that I was in that showcase that I would actually say is probably worth the $80 price tag? It was Elden Ring Tarnished Edition because it comes with the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. Because when they launched that copy for PS5, $80.
So there, and I think that's kind of a good example. Is if you gave us something little more for that upcharge, I would be okay with that. I would be okay with paying that price. But right now, let's be real. Like if you get a Mario game, if you really wanted to play that Mario game just to finish it, right?
Yeah.
Let's say Mario Odyssey 2 comes out. Somebody wants to get it from start to finish is what? Maybe 25, 30 hours, maybe.
Yes.
25, 30 hours of gameplay and let's be honest, it's Nintendo, so they're going to charge 80. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it's Nintendo, it's going to be $80.
Yep.
For digital. 90 is physical. So now I'm paying $80 for about 30 hours of gameplay and arguably still not up to snuff kind of tech and visuals. You know what I mean? Now, they're a lot better than Nintendo's ever been. That is the truth.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's still
Behind.
So I think that was my biggest gripe with it, is that leading as being Nintendo, who's been famously behind the curve as far as all that goes, kind of not a good look, especially when you're silent about it.
Right.
This is the truth.
They're using modern tech and they've raised the price of games.
Yep. And now
But they're still using technically older modern tech.
Precisely. And I think now the other thing, because I don't know if you heard about this, there's actually two types of physical media. So there is a key cartridge,
Yeah.
which is still $80, same as a digital. And then there's the actual, it's on the cart game,
Yeah.
which is $90. You can get the key cartridge, say for whatever reason you didn't have your online at the immediate moment, or you were at the store and you just wanted to get it. You could go buy the key cartridge, which you put it in there and then it just downloads onto your system, which to me is confusing. You know
It's
what
stupid.
I mean?
Okay, no, I can tell you exactly why Nintendo's doing that though, because they, on the games where it's just the code to download it, roughly a quarter of the front of the case says full game download. People still don't understand that.
Yeah.
So the key cartridge is literally Nintendo saying, there.
Here you go.
Yeah, true. There's no.
So that one isn't Nintendo's fault. People just can't read.
That's fair. That's fair.
And read your fucking packages, people. The fucking back of the box still tells you plenty of shit.
Listen,
Ain't that the truth?
when you work in retail, that's just.
Yeah.
My beef of the day, illiteracy.
I feel like that's a worldwide beef.
Worldwide beef.
But I think
Willful illiteracy, specifically.
That's a good one.
good. Yeah. That's good. That's good. There's some people who just don't have access.
Right. You don't have access, that's not
Yeah,
your
we're not.
fault. But if you live in America or Europe,
And
or
you
let's be
choose-
fair, most of Eastern Asia, Russia, anything like that, and you're like, what does this box do? Go fuck yourself. Just,
Damn. Oh my gosh.
there's words on there
Oh my
in the
gosh.
language you speak.
Wow,
Guess
dude.
what? In this country, they're in 2 languages. You got to speak one of them. And why is it the people that speak the foreign one never ask me what's on the box?
He hit him all with the whole thing.
Oh my gosh, I can't.
That was good.
Oh my gosh, I won't.
That was good.
Keep doing
We
Listen.
we haven't had a crash out like that in a minute.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie. that's a valid crash out. That's
Yep.
a valid crash out. I think, we obviously we talked about the price, and not to like begrudge the kind of shitty aspect of it, because it is a little shitty. Price point's too high for the games.
For the
Not-
games.
Not the
Honestly, the fact that there's a base model for $450 surprised me because I was expecting base $499, like
Yeah.
PlayStation 5
Yeah.
and Series X.
So let's also put this out here too, just to kind of quell this whole uproar about the price of the actual unit itself. We have, again, I'll go back to the ROG Ally X, which is $800.
yeah.
And it can't output even docked 4K.
Yeah.
Yep.
So for literally, okay, we'll take away the 50. I'm just gonna round it and say for twice the fucking price, you still can't get 4K.
Yep.
So you can't look at me and tell me that is not a good fucking deal.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The console itself, great. Depending on how much of the Switch back library is compatible, because that is something that we are going to have to see.
They were using some tricky wording, weren't they?
Right.
They were.
Certain compatible Switch games.
Right.
Now they did.
This sounded like a fucking Fey bargain.
Yeah, so I kind of feel like I know what ones they're talking about though, because there are certain Switch games that should have never happened.
Well,
and those are likely not going to be
so
playable.
I feel like
So I won't be able to play Cuties Hacked on my fucking Switch too.
Well, I was talking about this earlier with my buddy, and like he thinks something like Ring Fit that is very specific for the Joy-Con 1. I think the older Just Dances aren't going to work. Stuff like that. Not that what you're saying is wrong, but
So they did. So actually, interesting that you brought that up because they did update on the website. They said that it does work, but you need original Joy-Con to connect to it.
okay.
hey.
So
hey.
they're kind of
That means
covering
you-
their bases.
That means you don't have to throw away your controllers.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey.
So you can use. Obviously, there's some functionality you lose, but
fucking $70 per fucking set. Hey, you get to keep them.
Well, so did anybody actually find pricing on how much the separate Joy-Con 2s or the Switch 2 Pro controllers?
We probably don't want to know.
Because we technically speculated $70 to $80 for the Pro controller. Because the thing is that Joy-Cons are more expensive than the Pro controller.
Yeah. Well, I think because
Damn.
I think we can safely say, I'm just gonna be honest, you're dropping a hundo on Joy-Cons. If you're getting a pair of Joy-Cons, you're
90
Pair
to
of mouse
100, I
clicking
think.
Joy-Cons. Yep.
Yeah, you're dropping a buck on them, and like the thing is, it sucks. Am I mad about it? If you fix the stick drift issue, I'm not mad.
If there's
about
no drift, we know that the rails aren't bad.
it. Yeah.
We'll have to see how the magnets go.
I'm going to want to see a drop test of it too.
So
Somebody will do it.
Yeah.
I think the good thing is though, and I will say, it kind of sucks that we had to wait this long for it. Some people would say that it was too long, but I think Nintendo also gave a lot of accessory developers a lot of time to make a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
There's already cases that are going to be available on launch. You know what I mean? So even if the Joy-Con themselves, and the thing is the cases go over the Joy-Con separately.
Yeah.
So you can still take them off and they're still in a case.
Yeah.
So I think that even
To
if
be fair, there are cases that do that now with the Switch 1.
true, and I think that even if it's not necessarily the most durable thing, we at least have the fact that there's going to be accessories that will make it so. So I think, and to not kind of end it on a bad note, you know what I mean? Because I think, yes, prices of games suck. That's a little rough. But knowing that the whole industry is going that direction, we can say that, like, this was a hell of a show.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, and
So, final verdict.
Yeah, to close it out.
listen, man, there was kind of questions, and we talked about it a little bit when we were doing the handheld gaming PCs of how hyped are you going to be? Is it going to be a disappointment? Is it going to? I think we can safely say overall, my verdict is not a disappointment. My verdict is day one buy as long as I can.
So
make it
out of a 10.
8 reasonably. So I think everything shown off was awesome. I will say pricing is kind of a rough point
For games.
for games. Yep, specifically. And I would say that there are certain things that I would have loved to see in that direct.
Right.
And, Rivals would have loved to see it. You know.
Yeah, but
Master Chief Collection, I would have loved to see running on it. I get it, like you said. I that makes a lot of sense now that you mentioned that.
it'll need time to percolate from Microsoft's camp.
Yep. So 8, I would say 8. I'm hype about it.
I agree.
Okay, so I'm gonna say
I'm an 8 out of 10 as well.
8 out of 10. I'm also going to say that this is probably one of Nintendo's best reveal showings ever.
I agree.
Yep.
I think that it was, I actually personally, seeing Breath of the Wild for the first time was kind of cool.
Mhm.
It was kind of flash, right? But the thing was, it was a Wii U game.
Yep.
I think that the first Switch reveal ish, it was mid.
Yeah. I'm with you.
I think everything prior to that, I think maybe the Wii had a decent amount of hype when it was first announced and they were showing people swinging a baton around. It seemed very immersive at the time.
Yeah.
And there was the guy jumping over his couch and pretending like he was shooting like the Matrix.
It does make you feel cool when you watch that.
But it was nothing even close. Anyways,
I know, yeah.
what I think is it was the best initial contact that we've ever had with a Nintendo console.
Nintendo, yeah, fair.
Yep.
And
Well, because that's the thing, right? If you think about it, Nintendo's been around since the 80s, the NES.
Yep.
So technically, there are reveals from before any of us in this room existed.
Yep.
And I'm willing
But
to.
back then, you didn't
I
have
wonder what the
internet
press
like this.
conferences were like.
Uh,
Must have been weird.
they cooked this presentation to damn near perfection, and I'm willing to say that if you're a hardcore Nintendo fan, I think it's a 10. If you have money and you're a hardcore Nintendo fan, it's a 10.
If you have the same like Nintendo sympatry that I had for PlayStation had, very important past tense.
Congratulations, you've evolved.
Yes.
A couple more wrinkles in the old brain piece.
Welcome.
Welcome to Camp Xbox.
I'll get you that new Xbox handheld.
I'm gonna just start game passing on the PC. That's just what's
Fair. $10.
But that's another aside. I think, I could see from a fan 10 out of 10.
10.
Yep. And we
Hit 'em with the
know-
Dan.
And they're already doing the exact move that they did with the Switch 1, where they have on release crazy amounts of games.
Yeah.
Then a month later, crazy more amounts of games. A month later, so you know that content feed is going to be the
Right.
same.
Between now and holiday 2025.
We're going to be eating good.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
We have it. I think
Well,
100%.
and that's the thing, right? The Switch never really lacked for game options.
Mm-hmm. Which is surprising considering the hardware.
Yeah. But Microsoft and Sony have been lacking.
They've had bald patches.
I'm not gonna lie, they've had bald years.
Right.
So-
They're
like-
running on smooth tires.
Because I'm willing to argue it was like this year there's games that are really like I need like an Xbox to play it. You know what I mean? It's like
Specifically Xbox, not PlayStation.
specifically Xbox.
I'll just get a PC to play the PlayStation
It's a little
games.
more expensive.
Claire Obscure, man. April 25th.
But
I will be talking about it. Don't worry.
We'll get there. We're gonna be on some gaming shit for the next few months.
yep. So lock the fuck in.
Strap in, folks.
And with that, we've reached the end. We are Critical Hit, and that was our Nintendo Switch 2
Showcase discussion.
Showcase Boogaloo.
Boogaloo.
Gotta go with the rumor Boogaloo.
Yeah. We keep booging.
You're welcome.
Find us wherever you find your favorite. Now pretty much locked into Switch coverage,
No DMCA claims, Nintendo.
right? You watch your fucking selves.
See?
Podcast.
They better not have native streaming. I'm just saying. Whoop.
Find us on CritTube. Find us on YouTube at CritTube. That's all. It's all us. Soon. for you.
You will be able to play your music without YouTube Premium and close your phone.
Chill.
If you give it to us.
Chill.
Oh my god!
Find us on
Everyone can get it.
Twitter at Crit Hit Official for your weekly hit of crit. Until then.